welcome back. We are in the midst of some very tense situations. Just a quick recap. You guys had come to Kalamahoy on a mission from the Starfinder Society. You had navigated down to the surface of this Waterworld moon orbiting around Berthetta. After jumping a quick shuttle from the landing pad to Flowtop Station, which is seems to be a large kind of gathering place on the surface for any off-worlders. During that travel, you had met two individuals. One was Chase, human, and the other was Theta 3, a android. They had mentioned, along with when you were coming down the surface, similarly Nemo had mentioned it, that the very first time that any off-worlder comes to Kalamahoy, they need to pass what is called the Proteekphrasi, or the first expression. It's a rite in which anybody that is new to the moon needs to offer an expression of artistic creativity. There's various types that you've seen since getting to Kalamahoy: sculptures, statues, paintings, holographic, imagery. Gambit is very wide and all-encompassing, but it is important that you do get received with a positive spin, because if you do not, you are labeled a Keno, which is Kalo for blank. So, in that time frame, you had constructed, through various means, a holographic display depicting a semi-exaggerated representation of your fight with the Akata.
I like to call it a fantastical account.
So I like to call it the truth.
Call it what you will.
Yeah, call it what you will.
I wasn't sick. I was flying through the air, leaping down.
Well, I saw some crazy things when my blood wasn't inside me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah.
I was going to say, loss of blood.
The blood left me.
The blood was gone.
Come back to my blood.
So after constructing this device, you guys had taken a elevator, colloquially called the Drop, from Flowtop Station to Tesmaya, the vent city underneath the glacial platform. And after quite a bit of a ride down, you arrived in this large, expansive underwater chamber city that had many different colors, statues, lights. The artistic bend of this race definitely is prevalent as soon as you come into this area. You were actually meted by Tidebringer Fulnoth, who seems to be in charge of your first expression. So after a quick jaunt to what appeared to be the largest structure in the city, you guys were brought into a side chamber to make final preparations for your presentation, and that is where we picked them up, as you guys are now walking into the chamber that contains roughly, best guess, a couple hundred Kalo in the stands. It's a very large, expansive amphitheater.
One more thing, slight recap-ish before we start. Who did we say was going to do the talking for us in this? Because it was not me.
It was Sean.
It was Sean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe you
Didn't remember if it was you or him.
Soren.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
But I mean, it's kind of the very last minute here as you guys are entering this room.
You need
garner the
anything
attention
else
of
during this,
everybody.
just holler, but I should not do the talking.
You just gotta look cool.
My talking works, but it's never pretty.
I talk
So-
well.
I think pretty is kind of what we need right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying.
The man connected to the forces of the universe has got to have some poetic side to him.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I'd hope.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys have entered into the chamber, and there seems to be kind of a weighted kind of staleness in the air that just kind of like is hanging and just expectant kind of presentation. As do you step on the platform? There's there's enough room for all of you. So I mean, you certainly could if you'd like.
We got it all because it's all us.
Yep.
It's kind of it's a
You guys don't have to
octagonal
talk at
platform
all.
in the middle of the
They
room.
might expect us to talk if we all go up there, though. Is the thing.
You'll be good.
let's
Let's do it.
It's part of our group.
let's doubt that. I was gonna say let's hope so, but let's doubt that.
Sure.
All right. So you guys all step up onto the platform, and the Tidebringer, who has taken up a position in front of you on kind of a raised dais, just kind of connected to the very front row of the amphitheater benches, now kind of just like looks around and then just kind of extends a hand towards you guys.
Do I have the snow globe on? The ash globe?
Yeah, you do. I think
I'd like
let's-
to
Let's just say yeah.
present it to him and place it in his hand and explain how it's a representation of how our bond came to be and how it was forged in fire and necessity.
He kind of looks at it, rolls it kind of around. And he like puts it onto a side sort of kind of recess next to the platform, and you see it kind of float up, and you see basically like a holographic kind of enlargement of it appear in the middle of the chamber, and you hear just kind of muttered, kind of like back and forth between several Kalo. A couple of them, seem to be kind of like pointing at different parts of it. Others definitely seem to be kind of like, seem more puzzled looks. It's hard to tell kind of, because this is a chamber that has oxygen. It appears that, they have, each have like their own apparatus of various designs, encompassing their head, like, to obviously like facilitate breathing through water. So the Tidebringer kind of looks back at you. Explain.
Well, the four of us have no memory of our past, apparently our past 6 years or so. We all woke up together in an abandoned starship that was orbiting a planet, slowly decaying, heading towards kind of a collision. We all worked together. We all kind of grew to like each other as well, so we're a crew of our ship now. But throughout the ship, we had to work our way through the ship together, and we were attacked by all sorts of monsters. We eventually crash landed on the planet, and the scene you see in the snow globe before you was kind of the climax of the whole ordeal.
Go ahead and roll me a diplomacy check.
16.
16.
Yeah.
It's kind of a rolling sort of like murmur behind the Tidebringer, and he kind of like looks slightly as he sees several other kind of Kalo kind of like leaning back and forth between each other, and it's hard to tell tone, just because one, it's a language I don't believe any of you speak.
No.
And two, it's also slightly like kind of muffled just because it's through it almost sounds like they're speaking through water. So it's a language you don't understand. But also, it's really kind of. But there's not any kind of tonal inclinations that you can kind of pick one way or the other. The general kind of at least like physical kind of reactions seem to be running the gambit. There's some people kind of like doing, just you can see kind of like hand kind of like slices like this. Some kind of seem to be counter arguing that point. Not really able to tell.
The room that we're in, does it have any aperture or anything that looks out into the water around us?
It's a circular structure that kind of you think of it as like a very kind of compressed stadium. Like it's a circular room with like three sets of kind of rows or three tiers of benches kind of riding up, and at the top there's a very large kind of open dome, which is odd considering that there's every wall and edifice seems to be painted with either like carvings or colors. But the reason for it is pretty evident when you actually look past, because you can see there's a large luminescent stone kind of hanging a couple 100 feet above, but out in the water itself.
I'm the whole time fighting to keep my gaze from going up there, in kind of a nervous.
So the
Just trying to pay attention to what's going on and look presentable and make sure I don't do anything to mess this up.
So the Tidebringer, after kind of gauging kind of how the room is, kind of looks back at you guys, and is there anything else you wish to add before deliberation begins?
What do we think? What's the read on the room here?
It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to be
I
cow.
can pull something out. I do have an ace up a sleeve. I got something in
There's
reserves.
a representation of our bond, our shared bond with our missing memories and our quest to regain those memories.
This is but one memory. We wish to make many more.
Is our strongest and currently our most treasured memories.
The guys that spoke, another diplomacy check from both of you. Anything from you? And you hear Buzz kind of, and he's just kind of humming in the back, but he kind of he kind of lifts slightly out of his thing, kind of is looking around, and he's like, "Don't fuck this up."
I'm just I'm
You can tell you're trying to you're thinking about doing something.
I'm
and he's
frozen.
just-
I'm frozen, in place, just because half nerves of being underwater and not being comfortable here, and this situation itself. So kind of just looking around. Are these guys all looking at me like they are expecting me to say something? Are you?
Oh no, I'm not.
Oh, you mean just your friends?
Yeah.
No.
You're good.
I mean, you have the entirety
you
of
guys
the room
eat-
on
okay.
you guys, but I mean,
I'm just looking. I'm
just looking at the
at the
Tidebringer,
dudes. Yeah. Just
kind of
respectful eye contact.
Yep, just
occasionally looking
Head
around
down.
the room.
I rolled a
Kinda.
16.
trying to be
16?
respectful. Yeah.
What do you have for diplomacy?
Oh, I got a natural 1.
All right, I gotcha.
Yeah. So probably best that I don't do anything and add to the situation.